Hello my YouTube friends, gaming is big business here on YouTube and of course on Twitch. Especially on YouTube, popular gaming videos aren't just live streaming content. Pre-recorded game content that's well edited and meant to entertain or educate an audience has a lot of traction because it allows you to cut out all the fat, so to speak, and get right to the entertainment. Why sit on a live stream for hours waiting for that cool moment when you can watch a 10-minute clip of the most epic moments, or learn how to do something in a game that you just can't figure out? It just makes sense, right? So today I'm going to show you how to record your gameplay with audio from the PS4 console or directly from the PC using OBS, which is completely free. Once recorded, these files can be easily edited into great content for your YouTube channel. So let's get to it. If you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better YouTuber, subscribe to the channel and click that bell so you don't miss any new content. Let's start out with the PlayStation. This method will work for the PS4 or PS5 and does not require any capture card. Oh, and by the way, a Mac can do this one too. Now I already have the PS Remote playing on the computer, and if you want to know more about how to set that up, there's going to be a link at the end of the video so you can check it out. But for most people, you're probably already running the PS Remote and you don't need to know that. So let's just show you how to add it properly into OBS. The first thing I'm going to do is click the plus under sources, and I'm going to go to my window capture, and you can call this window capture whatever you want. I'm going to call it PS Remote or PS Play and click OK. Now I just need to go to this drop down and select my PS Remote Play window, and of course that window has to be maximized, just so you know, in order to see it. And you can see, there we go. We have our PS Remote right in here, super easy to see. It looks absolutely fantastic. Now we want to add some audio, so I'm going to click the plus and I'm going to go to audio output capture, and I'll call this one game audio or game sound, and click OK. And then I want to drop this down and select the location where my game audio is going to. And this probably should be your headphones, but in my case I have it going to my speakers. You can see an audio mixer there, your game audio is playing. You can adjust the volume levels there with the slider if you like, if you find that they're too loud. Now this is one way to easily connect your game, and if you're using a one monitor screen, this will work pretty well. But if you have a second monitor, there's probably a better way to do it. So let me show you how to do that real quick. I'm going to remove this window capture right here, just right click on it and click remove. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the plus again, and I'm going to select display capture, and I'm going to name this one game display and click OK. Now I need to just select the display that the game is going to be on. In my case, I'm going to use display 1, which is 1920 by 1080. And of course, the problem with doing this while I'm recording it is that's actually the same display that I have collecting the information. So when I flip over there, you see the actual display. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this OBS window onto a third display that I have, just so I can show you. And there it is. Now you can see that this display is a square display. It's really old, so it's going to show up at a slightly different resolution. But we are in game capture. I am actually grabbing that display at 1920 by 1080, as you can see, and it will be produced live on the stream in 1920 by 1080. So there you have it. Those are two different ways that you can easily capture your PS Remote Play stuff. And like I said, display capture, if you have two displays, is probably the much better option, but you can decide for yourself. So that was a pretty easy setup, and I'm going to get into the recording settings you want to use after I show you the PC game capture setup, because the recording setups for both are basically the same. So we'll get to them all both at the same time near the end of the video. So here's how to set up your PC game in OBS. Alright, so let me just switch the location of the monitor that I'm recording here. We'll flip it over to this one so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to go to OBS and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to run it as administrator. And you have to do this in order to be able to capture your game footage. And let me just drag that over here again from another window. And there we go. And let's remove this stuff out of here first. The next thing I need to do is go ahead and start my game. So let me flip over your view to the screen that's going to play the game. And here we are. Now I just double click on the game and it takes a moment. And there we go. It is starting up. And of course, the game is running in full screen. So let me flip your view back over to another monitor here real quick and show you how to add this into your OBS. Here we are back in OBS. I'm going to click the plus and I'm going to go to game capture and I click OK. And now I want to go ahead and capture a specific window. Then in window, I want to drop that down and select the game executable. And the match title or otherwise found, you might have to play around with those sometimes to get the game to show up. But chances are you're going to have to use the anti-cheat compatibility hook. And basically, a lot of these games are trying to avoid cheating, so they have this little thing that OBS looks for. And if you don't have this checked, a lot of times you're just going to get a black screen. So make sure that the use anti-cheat compatibility hook is checked if you're seeing a black screen, or even if it's not. Let's not cheat. What's the point? Then we want to go ahead and click OK, and we're going to just go ahead and fill the screen. I'm running this in 1080, so I want to go to transform and I want to fit it to the screen, and there we go. Now our game is on the screen in its full glory, but we don't have any audio yet. So let's go ahead and click the plus under sources and go to audio output capture. And you can call this whatever you want, game audio capture or whatever. And then we just drop this down and select the location where our audio is being produced so that you can hear it. If that's headphones, then you're going to want to select in device headphones. If it's your speakers, you're going to want to select speakers. Wherever the audio is coming from is what you want to select here, and then just click OK. And now we can adjust the volume in the slider if we need to. And there we go. Our game is fully captured. Now the last piece of this puzzle is the record settings. So let's go down here and click settings, and we're going to go to output. And you want to make sure your output mode is set to advanced. And then we're going to select recording. Under recording path, you can go ahead and browse to the location where you want your footage to be saved. Once you get there, you just select that folder and you're ready to go there. You can generate file names without spaces. If there's something on your machine that has a problem with using spaces, you can change your recording format. And there are quite a few to choose from. I just use the standard MP4 or MOV because they are much easier to edit. But if you go down here and you read the yellow warnings, it does tell you that if OBS crashes or something during the recording of an MP4 or an MOV, generally speaking, those recordings will be completely, totally useless, which sucks. But if you have a stable machine, this really shouldn't be an issue. And like I said, these are the easiest formats to edit. If you're afraid that your machine may crash during the recording or something like that, then using something like MKV can stop it from being an unusable file if OBS were to crash while you're recording. So that's always an option. Next, you want to drop down the encoder. I have an NVIDIA graphics card, so I use that encoder. It tends to be a whole heck of a lot faster than using X264, and X264 is going to use all kinds of processing power on your machine that if you're running a game on it, well, that's going to cause problems. So using the NVIDIA NVIC codec, if you have an NVIDIA card, is by far the smartest thing to do here. You can rescale your output. I don't recommend doing it. That's really all we need to look at up there at the top. Down here at the bottom, this is actually where you're going to control how your video is recorded or the quality. I select variable bit rate. This tends to make much smaller files because if there's not much going on the screen, it will record at a lower bit rate. But when the screen has all kinds of things going on it, it will record at a higher bit rate. This means your files can be smaller because when you record at a lower bit rate, obviously it creates a smaller file, and it allows it to vary between these two bit rates that we set. Now you can see I have my low bit rate set at 40,000 kilobits per second, and my max bit rate is set at 60,000 kilobits per second. And you know, you can climb these up if you have a quality machine to an even higher setting. But these settings probably are set a little bit on the low end for my personal machine, and I don't notice any major quality problems with these settings. So they might be a pretty good starting point for you to try out depending upon the power of your machine. Now you can up your keyframe interval to 1 if you like, and that will add just a little bit of extra crispness to the recording. if that's what you want to do. But for me, I don't notice that much of a difference keeping it on auto, so that's generally where I keep it. My preset I have set to max quality, which obviously is going to give me the highest quality video file that it can for all the settings that I have. If your machine is struggling, you can leave your bitrate and max bitrate at the same, but maybe lower your preset here to a little bit lower. And then of course the profile I have set is high, but you can adjust the settings with this as well. Down here we have look ahead and psycho visual tuning, and these are both things that you can check if your machine is reasonably decent quality. And what these do is kind of allow the encoder to look ahead and really capture all those details that are necessary to record in a way that's going to make it really pop off the screen. So if you can actually set these, then I definitely highly recommend it. But like it says under Psycho Visual Tuning, it does cost you a little bit of GPU to do this. Now, GPU I have set to 0 because I only have the one GPU in the machine, and it's already going to select it. And maxed frames, of course, is set to 2 by default, and I've never really noticed any difference by changing it, so I just leave it the same. Now, once you have all that set, you can just apply your settings or click OK, and then you can go in and click the Start Recording. And this is automatically going to record your files to the location that you browse to when you were setting this up. And let me just bring up my File Explorer to show you what these files look like. And here you go. You'll see when they actually record using the default name, it gives you the date and the time that the file was recorded at. I usually come in here and rename these just about right away because needless to say, the default naming convention doesn't really give you a whole heck of a lot to go on. Now, it takes a lot more power to record a PC game than it will to record a PlayStation Remote Play game, just because all the processing for both is done right on the PC. Whereas for the PS Remote, all the processing is done on your PlayStation. If you're struggling with choppy frames or difficulty holding the frame rate, you may need to lower the resolution of your game. And then once you do that, you can lower the resolution of your canvas and your output in OBS. Just keep in mind that for videos like these, the most important factor is that they look good. And they can look absolutely amazing in 720, but completely choppy in 1080 or 4K. And if that's the case for you, then record them in 720 and then upscale them to 1080. Upscalers these days are pretty amazing if you set them up right, and no one will ever know. What are your favorite games to watch footage from? Let me know in the comments. And if you want a more detailed video on how to set up the PlayStation Remote for your OBS streams, check this video out. Are you always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better YouTuber? Then subscribe to the channel. My name is Michael Fire Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.